If you want to achieve, you have to master utilizing your time effectively. No fluff, no gimmicks, just one actionable way to get better, physically, mentally, or emotionally. This is Daily Gains. Let's get after it. All right. Welcome back to the Daily Gains. This is Chris. All right. So this is going to be one I think will be pretty interesting. I want to talk about the difference between high performers, our 1%ers, and the vast mass populace, the 99%. So I hear a lot when I talk to, pretty much anybody. I hear a lot about the things you don't have, the things that aren't available to you, the things that you don't have within your grasp. And if you, quote unquote, had those things, you do great things. Well, there's one thing that's gifted to all of us, whether we want it or not. That is time. We all have 168 hours in a week. All of us. That's 24 hours in a day times 7 days a week. It's 168 hours. Now, we all have the same amount of time each day and week. Now, what's the difference? And it's obvious. I mean, it's just utilization of available time. But how do you frame that? How do you form it? How do you achieve the new way of viewing and utilizing that available time? Now, we're going to take some of my personal experiences, some of the things I've seen with the athletes that I work with, the high-performing C-suite guys and gals, as well as the things I see Kylie doing on a regular basis that I think are easily implementable. And strangely enough, this isn't some secret sauce. This isn't something that only the wealthy one performers have access to. This isn't something that only the elite know about and we're just keeping it hidden, or they're keeping it hidden. This is more just a matter of being logical with yourself and understanding that you are the only one that's going to save you. If you want to achieve, you have to master utilizing your time effectively. Now, we all have, like I said, 168 hours in the week. The way I started divvying up my time and understanding what I was spending my time on and how I can reframe it was I started to time myself when I did things. Now, if you've listened to this podcast or previously, any of our other episodes, I know I talk about time and stuff pretty regular, but I want to dig into this pretty heavy. So I first started timing things whenever I was frustrated with myself because I just hated my fucking excuses. I always had an excuse for something. I don't have time for meal prep. There's too many dishes. There's too much laundry. I don't have time for that right now. And just stuff wasn't getting done. And I felt like I was always behind. So when I did the calculation, it was just on a whim with a buddy at the gym that we had 168 hours in a week. I thought, well, shit, man, that's actually a lot of time. So when I wake up in the morning, or woke up the next morning, I said, all right, I need to eat my 6 eggs, and I need to plan my lunch today. Back then, I didn't really understand the necessity of having nutrient-dense food. I was just focused on food. I would consistently skip meals. I weighed about 170 pounds on a heavy day, and my lifts were okay. I was just getting into the gym, and I mean, my intensity was high, but my output was really low. So I knew that calories were part of the reason, so I just got tired of the excuses. If the people that I admired accomplished it, it means it's possible. So the only part of that equation that was failing me was me. I needed to figure out how to better utilize my time. So I started timing myself. I keep in the back of my head, 168 hours, man. So I woke up that morning, cracked my eggs open, started the timer first, cracked my eggs open, whisked them up, put them on the hot skillet, and I made a box of spiral mac and cheese. So from fridge to Tupperware, it took 8 minutes. 8 minutes. Awesome. I fuck around on my phone for far more than 8 minutes in the morning. I can't spend 8 minutes getting my meals ready? Of course I can. When you frame it like that, it's like, well, that's a no-brainer, man. That's pretty silly. That makes it easier. That's the whole fucking point. And then I got home later that day from work, and I'm like, there's dishes and laundry. I'm like, you know what, man? Time yourself. So, did the dishes. Under 10 minutes. I think it was like 9.5 minutes or something. That's sink to cabinets. That's completely done. Sink cleaned out and everything. I wasn't going super fast. I wasn't trying to reduce my time, which is what I do now, and I think it's actually pretty fun. I just wanted to time it. If I did the normal thing at a normal pace, how long was this going to take me? So I could be realistic with myself when I was sitting on the couch watching TV and the dishes needed to be done. I could say, you can take 10 fucking minutes. So then laundry. Same thing. From the dryer to the drawers, less than 10 minutes. I think it was 6.5 minutes or something like that. And I remember these because I kept telling myself all the time, and I heard it from everybody I was around. Oh, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for dishes. I don't have time for meal prep. I don't have time for laundry. I'll just wait till it's absolutely overwhelming, then I'll figure it out. So I end up spending fucking 6 hours doing these things because I put the 10 minutes it takes up front on the back burner for 6 days. So I have to multiply it out, plus all the other variables of frustration, anger, and feeling sorry for myself on top of that, plus all the things I had to do on the weekend. So it was easier for me to frame my daily activity once I understood how long it was actually taking. Now, if you know us, we meal prep all the fucking time. Every week on Sundays, we meal prep. If we're traveling, we do it on Saturdays. If we're traveling on the weekends, we do it on Friday or Monday. But we get our meal prep done. So I decided, because one week, like everybody on the planet, I was telling myself how much time I didn't have. So I said, all right, man, I'm going to plan it. I'm going to time it. We're going to cook rice. We're going to cook meat. So enough rice for the week, enough red meat for the week. That'll cover all of my lunches and some of my dinners. And I'm going to make my breakfast scramble. All in, cook time, cleanup, and packaging was 3 hours. 3 hours. 168, I asked myself for 3, and I was dragging my feet. That's insane. 168 hours in 6.5 minutes I was dragging my feet for. We have this phenomenal concept in America that we're living on convenience. Everything has to be convenient. We can't do that because it wastes time. The opposite of wasting time is saving time. So if we can't, quote unquote, waste that 10 minutes to do our laundry or our dishes, or the 8 minutes to cook our breakfast and lunch, or the 3 hours for meal prep, what are you saving that time for? What are you doing with that banked time you have? I'm going to go ahead and tell you, if you can't cook your fucking eggs or spend 10 minutes doing laundry or dishes or meal prep, you're not utilizing that time correctly on the other side. If you are, call me. I want to hear it. Nobody is so busy that that's not possible. And we work with high performers. We understand what it's like to be the 1%. They have time. That's why their houses are clean. That's why their cars are clean. That's why they're put together. That's why their hair's cut. That's why things are taken care of. Because they utilize their time correctly or efficiently. We have to give ourselves a measuring stick. That's why I love the concept of timing things. We have to understand that if we give ourselves an arbitrary or ambiguous goal, like I just need to do the dishes, well, yeah, I need to do the dishes. Everybody needs to do the dishes after you clean or after you cook. But what phrase is easier to hear? Get up and do the dishes, you lazy son of a bitch. Or the dishes take less than 10 minutes, I'll knock it out quick. The dishes take less than 10 minutes, I will knock it out quick. Positive, positive, rolled up in a positive that takes less than 10 minutes. Boom, you're done. Not only do you get the sense of satisfaction and great feelings and endorphins from achieving a task, you have a cleaner house. You have available clean dishes to eat from. And your sink doesn't grow mold because you're being lazy. The best part about this is, though, you're creating habits through intentional action. We start to look at things with the time that it actually costs and understand that we're not banking that time to spend on something else. And we start to utilize that same concept in all the aspects of our life. How much time does it take to go ask my wife how her day was? A couple minutes, 30 minutes, maybe an hour. Okay, I have 168 hours. If I do that 7 times, I have 161 hours left this week to do the things I need to do. I think you can handle an hour of talking to your wife and asking her how her day was. That's normal. But what does that do for your relationship? It skyrockets it. Makes it 1,000,000 times better. So you can reframe it from, I'm asking questions that I might not care about, to I'm dedicating 7 hours of my work life to my significant other to develop a relationship. Awesome. Now, I love the math on this. The math makes you really happy because I like to give the whole concept up front so you can hear this. We'll do the math real quick. You can understand what's going on, and you can go, oh, yeah, I totally have enough time. Because even with timing it out, people are like, I don't know, man. I might not have 3 hours on a Saturday. Might not have 3 hours on a Sunday. Okay, I get that. Things seem busy when you're looking at it granularly. Each day at a time, things seem wild. So let's do the math real quick. We have 168 hours in each week. Let's assume a few things so we can get a blanket frame of reference, something really big to look at. We had 8 hours of sleep each night, 7 days in a week. That's 56 hours of sleep. Now we'll do an average of 8 hours of work each working day. So 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, times 8 hours each. That's a 40-hour work week. Now, if we spend an hour on each meal, there's 21 meals in a week, assuming we're eating 3 a day. It's 21 hours of consuming food a week. I know that I don't spend an hour on each meal. Sometimes it's 5 in between clients or 45 or whatever. But just for blanket numbers here, we'll go for 21 hours of food consumption a week. That gives us a grand total of 117 hours. We do 168 full amount of time each week, minus 8 hours of sleep a day, 8 hours of work during the work week, and 3 hours a day of meals. That leaves you 51 hours left over. 51. You have an extended work week, 11 hours over a full-time work week to do other things. Now let's add in my favorite, 4 hours of the gym, because I think you need only 4 to 6 hours in the gym dedicated per week to grow. And we do 1 hour each day of meditation, silence, or reading, like we do every morning. It's only adding 11 hours to the total. That still leaves you 40 hours. 40. That leaves you 40 hours, sleeping 8 hours a day, working 40 hours a week, spending an hour on each meal. That was quality time with the family, 4 hours in the gym, and 1 hour each day for meditation, sleep, or meditation, silence, or reading. 40 hours. Now, if you're like most Americans, you're working 50 hours. Still leaves you 30. You work 60 hours, leaves you 20. 20 hours. Now we can talk about what are you going to do with that 20 hours, but we're going to end up talking about how we're going to deviate that out or dish it out in order to fulfill the other things we need to do. Yes, we have drive time. Yes, we have all those other things. Let's just view it holistically. We have 168 fucking hours. And if you're working 60 hours a week plus doing all these other things, you still have 20 hours left of available time. That's just shy of 3 hours a day. 2.85 actually. So when we look at it this way, our weeks, and our months, and our years, it's not really that we don't have time. It's that we don't have intention behind how we spend it. We don't have intention behind how we spend our time. We're generally not planned. The 99% isn't. Generally not planned. Generally very little intention. And generally filled with a lot of ancillary things like Netflix and Hulu and being on your phone, social media, all that other bullshit that just fills up time. And then all of a sudden, when you're 2.5 hours deep inside of Netflix or 2.5 hours deep inside of Instagram or TikTok, you're left with 45 minutes of available time. And yeah, you're out, bud. You're done. Assuming you're doing all these other things at this volume. Which most people don't. Meaning if you don't go to the gym at all, you've added 4 hours to your schedule based on this. You don't do any reading, you've added another hour a day, 7 hours a week. You've added 11 hours back to your schedule that week. Meaning you actually technically have 11 hours and 45 minutes. We've just wasted it is the problem. We've looked at what's available to us, the 168 hours, differently if you're the 99% than the 1% do. The 1% view it as, hey, I only have this much time, and let's calculate this out. It should take me X amount of time to do this. Okay, cool. X amount of time to do that. Okay, cool. I plan it out accordingly, and I fill my day with intentional actions. I create habits out of those actions. Then I'm no longer wasting energy on planning or time. I just cycle my plan every week. My Monday through Sunday schedule just literally fucking cycles every week. And then you're looked at the one that has, quote unquote, so much time. You're the one that has it all lined out. No, you're just intentional. You've created habits out of intentional action that allow you to utilize your 168 hours to its peak because you understand where you're going, where the minutes are going, where your time is going, your intention is going, your energy is going, and you don't waste it. You don't get sucked down these rabbit holes of 4 hours on Instagram because you understand, yes, I might have 3 available hours, 2.85 available hours at the end of every day or mixed in the day, but I have other things I need to do. I have 4 hours of gym time this week I need to hit. I've got 1 hour a day of reading, 1 hour a day of meditation, 1 hour a day of silence. Those are important to me. They created my processes. So when we look at the difference between 99% and 1% as the people that are involved in them, We just see a better utilization of available time. We all have 168 hours, and we all choose to do what we want to with that time. I will use this phrase until I die. You are the only one that is going to save you. Nobody's going to show up with a gold-plated fucking calendar and give it to you and you're just going to fall right in line. It's not possible. You have to be intentional. You have to be the one that says, yes, I have 168 hours, just like every motherfucker around me, and I'm going to be refined and I'm going to be useful as much time as possible each day. I'm going to plan this out. I'm going to utilize my time, and I'm going to take advantage of all the possibilities that this gives me. Because at the end of the day, we all have it. And at the end of the day, our outcomes are a representation of what we view as important. We all have 168 hours. It's your choice to utilize them with progress and intention. It's also your choice to waste them. We all face obstacles: burnout, self-doubt, fear of failure. No one is immune to setbacks. Welcome to Resilience Roulette, where we take on real obstacles and break them down with real strategies. Let's see what's on deck today. All right, welcome back to Resilience Roulette. Took me a couple times to figure out how to say that correctly. Go ahead and spin the wheel here. And we land on the fear of failure. Oh man, this will ravage a lot of people. I know it ravaged me in the gym, in my personal life, in my professional life. Yeah, fear of failure is massive. What happens if I can't succeed? What happens if I attempt this and I don't make it? I don't make it at all. It'd be horrible, especially in front of people. Or if I tell people how much I want to accomplish, then I don't and I fall flat on my face. Yikes. The question I usually ask people, though, when they bring this up, because it's pretty regular, well, I don't want to do that because I don't want to fail. Or I don't want to try that because, failure is definitely going to happen. What we have to remember is that the times that we learn the most, meaning the times that the most data is collected in this science experiment of life, is when we fail. Now think about the two states we're in when we succeed and when we fail. What state are we in when we succeed? What's one word people use to describe massive success? In the moment, it feels euphoric, otherworldly. You feel amazing. You're on top of the world. Everything's operating correctly. You're firing on all cylinders. What happens whenever you're in the midst of failure or you have just failed? You just lost the game. You missed the weight. You feel like the world is caving in around you. You feel all of the things, all of the emotions, all of the interactions with the people around you. You replay all of the time that you could have done or should have done something. Coulda, shoulda, woulda just dominates you. Now we need to back up out of that and think, at what point in time am I collecting the most data? When I'm very present and I'm focused on all the things that got me to this point, and I feel the emotions of this action right now, or when I feel euphoric, on top of the world, everything's going great. If we want to develop as a human, we want to develop as a person, professionally and personally, we have to understand that failure is an invaluable part of the equation. It forces us to be present. in a very uncomfortable, very aggressive, shocking way. You see everything for what it actually is, your actions for what they actually produced, and you get to reframe it. You get the opportunity to reframe it. So I think we need to view failure as data collection time and as an exceptional way to learn how to pivot. Awesome. This didn't work. Move on. Run the equation again. This didn't work. Awesome. Move on. Run the equation again. And now the third time when you run it, you don't have to put those two variables in there. You can change your outcome one decision at a time. Most of the time, whenever we look back, we say, I probably should have studied more. I had the time. I just chose not to. Or I probably should have ate better. I probably should have trained better. I probably should have done things better. So we need to look at failure as just an accumulation of data and an essential part of our success. It's nothing to be scared, nothing to be scared of. It's nothing to be intimidated by. It should be welcomed because that means you're pressing the envelope. You're working as hard as possible. You will find failure at the edge of your current capability, which is good. It expands your current capability. So good luck. Don't be scared of failure. Welcome it and collect the data from it. If today's episode challenged the way you think about resilience, we want to hear about it.
Connect with us on social media at Odyssey Resilience. Let's keep the conversation going.
Keep pushing forward and getting 1% better. See you next time.